Hello and welcome to the Nature Unplugged podcast, where we are all about cultivating consciousness in the digital age. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to the Nature Unplugged podcast with me, your host, Sebastian Slovan, and with me today is co-host Sonia Mohammed.
Hey everybody, good to be here.
Mohammed. Do you like how I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're back with another episode, and we're super pumped today. This is a big day. Well, it's almost a big day. We are so close to the launch of our latest, most recent book, Experience Nature Unplugged, A Guide to Wellness in the Digital Age. So this episode is all about the book. So we're going to dive into kind of why we wrote it, what's in it.
And why you should get a copy.
Why you should get a copy, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm pumped. It comes out, well, I'll let you do this. Okay,
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, well, so some updates before we get going.
Oh, updates.
Yeah, which is, I would say, the biggest update is the release of our new book.
I just mentioned that.
Yeah, Seb, if you remember back a few seconds, Seb was just talking about that. It launches on Monday, March 1st, 2021 in paperback, and it's going to be available on Amazon and online bookstores nationwide. The ebook will also be available shortly after that. And in addition to that humongous update, we also wanted to share that our philosophy and contract for wellness in the digital age, which has only been available to our current clients, is now going to be on our website as a free resource, also beginning March 1st. Very exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that. Well, current clients, past clients is who's had that. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome resource for everyone now, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds so excited.
So let's jump into it. I think it's helpful maybe to just recap for maybe new listeners a little bit about, what we do and why we do it. So I wanted to kind of start there. So as a reminder, basically since 2012, our mission at Nature Unplugged has been all about inspiring wellness in the digital age. And really the problem we're addressing is that we, generally speaking, as a society, are overconnected to technology and disconnected from nature, and this negatively impacts our mental and physical health and contributes to higher instances of things like attention disorders, anxiety, depression, isolation, and the extreme end of things is suicide. And on the physical side, we are more sedentary than ever before, which leads to higher instances of obesity, hypertension, all sorts of things that come along with that, poor sleep habits, and so really that's what we're focused on. And everything we do, everything we offer, this podcast included, the aim, really, the core of it is to address that problem and help us be more healthy and well in the digital age. And so we offer a variety of things. We do mainly we do one-on-one and family wellness coaching. We have guided in-person walks. We call them ENU walks. It stands for Experience Nature Unplugged. We do educational workshops, and when we're not in pandemic times, the occasional retreat to awesome nature places around Southern California and abroad. And the core of it really, it's all about finding balance and setting boundaries with the devices and screens in our life. And it's really becoming this is a life skill that we need to learn and develop, and our aim is to help do that well.
Yeah, it reminds me of I think it was middle school when the teachers were like, you need to learn how to type because typing is an important life skill. I feel like it felt funny to me to think of typing as an important life skill, and it may feel funny to think of this as an important life skill, but it really is.
It is. And I think we've talked about this a lot in past podcasts, but it's really important to recognize and understand what's going on behind our devices. If you've seen the movie, the documentary, The Social Dilemma, you'll understand what's going on. But it's really just a ton of money, a ton of resources going into keeping our attention and having us coming back again and again to our apps and social media and our devices. And so basically, technology is not neutral. There are a lot of people actively trying to get us on there, which is why we have to be so strong with our skills to
Hmm.
stay mindful of what we're doing. Really about using tech intentionally, not having it use us.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a little bit about recap of what we do, and I think it's also helpful to dive into why we do this work. So let's dive in.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Head first. Let's go.
Okay, we're gonna go way back. When I was a small child, uh, I I grew up in. I was really fortunate to grow up in a little coastal town near San Diego called La Jolla. Grew up in and around the ocean most days as a youngster, and I was fortunate to have parents that were beachgoers, and a lot of my early memories were around surrounded around nature and getting out into the water. And my dad in particular was this really incredible ocean swimmer, and a lot of my memories of him are in and around the ocean. And when I was 6 years old, he tragically took his own life, and for me it was seemingly out of the blue, and it totally flipped my world upside down and changed my family life and early life tremendously. And that kind of that led to a pretty tough time for me and my family, especially as I got a little older and could more fully comprehend what suicide was. It weighed on me more and more, especially in my teenage years. It was really tough. But I think one thing that I had, which was a constant, uh, was nature. And if I could just get back into the water or get back to the beach or even to a park, that was sort of like my place to find balance and recharge. And I think it really saved my life and got me through some of the toughest times as a youngster and as a teenager. And after that, I always really experiencing that. I wanted to do something with nature in my work when I was older, whether it was getting people out into nature or studying, nature, the benefits of nature. It was really, really important. And I was also very passionate about mental health and given my dad's situation. Um, and being preventative around that. So, fast forward a little bit, in 2012, we started offering unique guided nature experiences around San Diego, and it was awesome. And interestingly and coincidentally, that was around the same time that smartphones became widely available to us here in the United States. And actually, I think across the world, this was like the majority of people now had smartphones in 2012. And we started to see how much of an impact and how strong the pull was of screens with our clients, especially with the younger ones, and how that was a barrier for many people to getting outside. Um, and we also saw it in ourselves. Sonia and I, in our early relationship, really, I think we're negatively impacted by how much we were using technology, and we had to look at what we were doing, and that really inspired us to focus not just on the benefits of nature, but also the impact of technology and screen time. And we then shifted our focus, right, not just about getting people out into nature, but teaching people life skills to create balance and boundaries with technology, and how to connect with nature in our daily lives, right? So it wasn't just about this kind of you need like a few days out in nature and then you're going to be good, but how do you live well and balance in nature from day to day, right? So we started to dive deeper into the research around technology, and that became a big part of our work. And we over the course of the years of working with clients, doing our research, and experimenting in our personal life, we came up with this method, which we call the ENU method, Experience Nature Unplugged method. Um, and we've been teaching this to our clients, and I think the core idea with this book is that method is now available to everyone, or this method, which is really exciting, and we're pumped to be able to share it. So that's what we're gearing up for. Again, as Sonia said, March 1st, right around the corner, is the launch date. Yeah, so that's the backstory. about. But what let's talk about some like what do people get out of it? Sonia, why don't you take that?
Yeah, I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
Like, why read the book? As Sebastian mentioned, this is an emerging life skill that's quite needed, and I think a lot of us, as Sebastian shared, us included, really could use some guidance, help figuring out what to do, how to manage this effectively so that we can live our lives in the way we want to. And the idea being that when we do this work, it really helps us move from being, isolated, sedentary, disengaged, to more engaged and thriving and really wanting to get into that space. And so we look at sort of the highlights of what we'll get. I think, the beginning is really about how to regain control of the tech and digital media in your life by setting healthy boundaries. And when we do that, we also open ourselves up to more outdoor time so we can find our way back outside and experience the benefits of nature through unplugged time and outside. And then we also talk a lot about how we might counteract the impact of sedentary lifestyle through movement and exercise, especially if we can get that movement and stuff outside. And then, we look at how do we connect with other people. So we want to reduce our isolation and loneliness through building community and connection. And those are sort of the front end of the book, and then we move into some deeper work where we talk about building a mindfulness practice in order to live more intentionally, how we can work on developing a growth mindset and learn to push the edges of our comfort zone, and also really taking a look at our core values and trying to make sure that we're living in alignment with them. And something that's near and dear to us is our capacity for leadership. How do we learn to lead well in this digital age? And really thinking about, the person we are as the leader we are, and thinking of it that way. And the end of the book really caps with sort of engaged living, but how to reclaim a spirit of playfulness. That was a big challenge for me, and reinsert creativity back into our daily lives, and knowing that that's something that people of all ages really need to thrive today. So as Sebastian mentioned, we've developed a 5-step method called the ENU method. And it's really about bringing that balance back, right? Becoming more fully engaged with life. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that because it really is the frame of the book.
All right, so let's dive more deeply into the ENU method and kind of as Sonia mentioned, this is the structure of the book. And again, this is based on all sorts of research and our work with clients and our individual experiences navigating how to find balance, how to create health and wellness in the digital age. And so it starts with part 1, which is called reframe. And basically this is like, first things first, we need to understand the challenges of living in the digital age. And that really it's what we spoke about before, but it's really about understanding what's going on behind the scenes. There are so many smart people and so many resources going into holding our attention on our devices and having a basic understanding of what's going on the back end, basically the attention economy, and having an understanding of that really helps us to know how to deal with that. So basically we need to understand the problem or the challenges we're facing before we dive into the solutions.
Yeah, and then in that first part, it's helpful to think about like how is it showing up in our individual lives. And for me, it's when I've got 5 minutes of free time, I tend to fill it with my phone, or even if I've got an hour of free time, I fill it with digital media. I look at the news, I watch a TV show, because it's what's there, it's what's available, it's what's exciting. And, it was developed in a way that was made so that when I have free time, I turn to that media or device. And it's not something that if I were really sitting down thoughtfully, I would always be choosing to do. Sometimes I do that, but I find myself walking around with my phone everywhere, just almost like opening the fridge and then being like, why am I here? It's that sort of feeling where I, unlock my phone and I'm like, what am I even doing? There's nothing I need to do right now on my phone. It's like that feeling, understanding why that feeling is happening to us and why those habits have come to be.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so part 2 is called reset. And so while it's important to understand the problem we're facing, the majority of the book is really about stepping into the solutions. That's what this is all about. And we like to think of the reset phase as basically like hitting a big red reset button, like
Yeah.
boom. And this is all about becoming more intentional with our technology and bringing more nature into our lives. So this is where we talk about our 4 steps to reset process. We've kind of have this like top 4 ways to get into it really quickly. And this helps to redefine our relationship with technology and nature. And by using boundaries to minimize our daily digital distractions, we open up space in our day to include more time in nature unplugged. So I think, these are tangible, practical ways to create healthier boundaries with tech and get more nature time into our lives. Sonia, how about you take part 3?
Okay, part 3, reconnect. So this is really looking at 2 of what we think are the biggest challenges of tech overuse. So an increasingly sedentary lifestyle and isolation, right? The more we are using technology and on screens, the more likely we are to be sort of sitting down for longer periods of times and, alone by ourselves. And we should say, and we often do say, we're definitely not anti-technology. There are lots of really wonderful applications for technology. It allows us to do things like podcasts, share, access to information really freely, stay connected to people in ways we wouldn't otherwise be able to during things like a pandemic, like all those really great things. And modern technology really does offer a lot of comfort and convenience. But as a society, we are moving less and more isolated and alone than any other time in our history, and we are not doing so great because of it, physically and mentally. And so to address that, we focus on the importance of movement and how to bring more community and connection into our lives in this part of the book. And so the idea here and what we offer in this section are ways to reconnect with our bodies and with each other. And again, all of this is really presented in a way that feels accessible. None of it's meant to be really challenging. It's really sort of an offering, a way to step into a lot of these, changes or new ways of thinking and approaching life.
Which brings us to part 4, rewire. This is my favorite part.
It is?
Well, yeah, I like a lot of different parts, but this I think is my favorite part. And so if you think about reset and reconnect being kind of the tip of the iceberg, these are like the technical solutions, the quick fixes, that kind of stuff. This section is all about doing a deeper dive. This is what we call the more adaptive work. So this is like, I kind of think of this as like creating our inner force field to protect us from the attention economy and from the pull of our devices and things like that.
Yeah.
So this is when we dive into the importance and the power of mindfulness, of intentionality, of creating the right mindset around our relationship with technology and nature. And again, I think, Sonia, you spoke to this, but a really cool thing about this book is that, and some of the feedback we've got, is that you can kind of go as deep or as shallow as you want. If you're just looking for a few quick fixes, there's plenty of that. If you want to do a deeper dive, there's the ability to do that too, or the option to do that too. So that's what that part 4 rewire is all about.
Yeah, actually, recharge, the final part.
Oh,
part
the final
5,
part. Is that your favorite part?
My favorite part. Yeah. It's actually, a part that I struggle with a lot too, but it's this idea of, moving from baseline, just like doing okay, getting things done, having an okay time, to really thriving and enjoying life and stepping into our full potential. And we in this section talk a lot about play and creativity and the power and beauty of those things and how important they are for our lives and our well-being. And it's an area that I often shove to the side when I get like busy or feel like work's important, or 100 million things seem to take precedence over this part. And when I do create the boundaries and find the space for this to have it in my life, I really do feel better, fuller, more content. And so this part really resonates with me, and it's things that I really enjoy. And there's a lot of fun little tips at the end of the section that offers ways to be more playful, to be more creative, so that you don't have to come up with all those ideas yourself. So that is the final part of the Inu method. And to help sort of bring it all together, one thing we should also mention is that the end of each chapter in this book, not just the parts, but each chapter, there are a variety of things that help you sort of put the information into action or into deeper learning, whether that's reflection, questions, or actual activities to really, take it from the page and put it into your life in a way that's meaningful to you. And at the very end, we've got a couple appendices.
Appendices?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that right?
That's fancy. I think so.
Okay. And
Appendixes.
Appendices? Appendices?
It's
I don't know.
appendices, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I took a guess. One of the appendices is the philosophy and contract.
Why
for
don't we just say
wellness
Appendix 1?
Okay.
Appendix 2.
Okay. Appendix 1. Appendix 1 is the philosophy for wellness in the digital age, and Appendix 2 is the contract, the E-New contract. And these, together are designed to help us really take everything that, was offered in the book and make it yours, make it applicable to your life, make it make sense for you in your life. And perhaps that's you as an individual, or you and your partner, or you and your family. And the philosophy is meant to really be like a 1 or 2 paragraph statement that helps guide you in your path moving forward. So it's really sort of the 30,000 foot view and the bigger picture. And the contract, on the other hand, it offers more concrete and actionable ways to put your philosophy to work in your day-to-day life. So when you combine those two, they really support you in your pursuit of wellness in the digital age. And in particular, if you find that you've gotten a little lost, you're uncertain about your path, you can return to the philosophy or return to the contract to help guide your decisions so that they align with your values moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great synopsis. I think it's a great point too that, it's not purely a work. It's not purely kind of a research book and not purely a workbook, but sort of it's mostly a reading book,
Yeah.
but with action items, like things to hold you accountable. So again, there's some people listening that might be like, well, I know that sounds like a little too deep of a dive for me to do the contract, but it's an option if you want to do it.
Yeah. And there's some good narrative in the book too. As Sebastian mentioned, a lot of this is from our personal journey, our challenges, our successes when it comes to healthy boundaries with technology, getting outside, and just overall wellness in the digital age. So we share a lot of those trial and error moments as well.
Totes my goats. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we're super pumped to put it out there. Exciting times. It's great to be on the other side. We've been working on this
Yeah.
for so long now to have the physical. I don't know if you can hear this, but those are the pages. We have the physical copy in our hands now for the first time, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And so I want to we'll wrap up with keep an eye out for today. What's today? We're Wednesday?
Tuesday.
What are we doing? But between now and the National Day of Unplugging, which is March 5th, 2021, we're going to have some opportunities to win signed copies of our book. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to give a heads up for that on our newsletter, website, some social media stuff. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And that'll do it for this episode of the Nature Unplugged podcast. You can find our episodes on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, basically anywhere you want to find your podcast, you can find it. We are now on YouTube as well. We would love it if you could take a moment to subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us a ton. Be sure and check out www.natureunplugged.com for more information on our coaching, workshops, presentations, and future retreats. And that's where you can also find more detailed show notes there on the website. You just click free resources, then click podcasts, and you're in. So thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Book launch March 1st, 2021. We will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Things change like seasons out of our control. If you think you should go, I will let you go.